Mm. Yeah, y'all know we got the power. We're live. We're back in action, attacking your speakers from the field to the bleachers. You're listening to the Power 32 podcast, where all 32 NFL teams are on the table, open for questioning. But today we're focusing hardcore on one division and one team in particular. Today we go back to the 49ers forecast. If your team resides in the NFC West or you're a straight-up Niner fan, you're in the right place. My name is Jason Fearman, a.k.a. The Sports Prophet. And this freaky football show is proudly presented by the Sports Column and brought to you by Reebok. I am very, very lucky to have two of the most knowledgeable football minds, not just 49ers, but football straight up with me. Two diehard 49er fans. They know their stuff inside and out. Let's do it. First up, my man, well sorted out freelance writer, journalist, member of the National Association of Black Journalists, host and producer of Touring the AFC South podcast, and a friend of mine for the past decade. That's the General Mike Patton. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? Definitely feeling the intro, man. I'm going back to like the 90s when I was in middle school and high school with that
one. That's right. Got to bring it back old school. You know, people call us old, but screw it. Old school. That's the way we do it. All right. And of course, bringing in another person I'm proud to call a friend, as we've conversed many, many times over the years. Look, this dude is fan-sided NFL Writer of the Year back in 2019. That's just a few years ago. Does a great job for SF Niner Noise, 49ers Web Zone, Clutch Points, and is a member of the Fantasy Sports Writers Association. Mr. Chris Wilson, what's going on, man?
Not much. Man, if I ever need a hype man, can you please apply for the position?
You got it. You got it. I come cheap, too, so you got nothing to worry about.
Okay. Well, I won't pay you much anyway. So.
Yeah. All right, we'll wait till you get that next level. Oh, good. I love it. But, yo, guys, we're here to talk 49ers and pretty much nothing but. Even though we've had a lot of, new interactions going on in the NFL, Julio Jones going to Tampa Bay like Tom Brady needs more freaking weapons, whatever. But we're talking 49ers with the outlook of the season right now. We're going deep dive into it. If you guys want to chime in out there, feel free. I know you're going to be loving the podcast after, but I'm ready to get into this thing if you guys are. So let's do it. Let's not waste any time. Ready to roll. And this episode of the Power 32 podcast is brought to you by Reebok. The Cardi B freestyles are here, baby. So the Cardi B kicks, designed by Cardi herself, as a matter of fact, men's, women's, kids, even infant sizes. So go to social media, use the hashtag Cardi's got you covered, and go ahead, order what you got. Men's, women's, children, everything. Go to 33podcast.com to click on the link and get that sweet-ass deal that we got for you. All right, so Reebok is presenting the 49ers today, I guess so, guys. So let's go. We just heard really great news that we kind of been, suspecting for a long time, and anybody who we're listening to telling Trey Lance is going to be the 49ers starting quarterback. There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of when and when they announce it. And it seems like they announced it today for real, Mike. We've been hearing a lot of it, blah, 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 this and that and everything. But Kyle Shanahan finally came out and said, Trey Lance is our guy, which means that Garoppolo is hopefully going to get traded, but more likely going to be cut, which is going to cost us a little bit of money, but not as much to keep this guy. So what are your thoughts overall on the whole situation?
Well, honestly, we probably could have gotten rid of him a little bit earlier than what we did. However, wanted to hang on to him, wanted to see what we could do. Now we're in this position of, limited options or release him. So Either way it goes, he's not going to be the starting quarterback next year, which I'm fine with. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Trey Lance can do, because Jimmy G under pressure is not Jimmy great. It's Jimmy, close your eyes, good googly moogly. I don't know if I want to see this. So, that's basically what I kind of gather now, and I'm ready for the Trey Lance era to get started.
Absolutely, man. So am I, Chris. No doubt. We've been ready since we drafted him, because we know and we knew, even when Jimmy G went along with us for the Super Bowl ride in 2019, that he was not the reason, and he's not the reason that we're going to win. He's going to be the reason we lose, like that game against the Titans last year, Mike. I'm sure you fondly remember that. And come on. You can't be throwing interceptions, that are all the way down the sideline, 10 yards past your wide receiver or Kyle Juszczyk in that matter. But bottom line is, Chris, you know this. You've been watching Jimmy G. We know that he's not going to bring us to the next level. Trey Lance has that potential. Now we're going to get to see what it's all about, and he doesn't have to worry about Jimmy G over his shoulder or anything like that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it should be interesting because the bar is pretty high for the team in general, and you know, however well the team does is going to be sort of blamed on Lance, or he's going to get the credit for it,
Right.
one way or another. So, it's pretty much Super Bowl or bust here in the next couple of years. I mean, I think they'll give him a year to iron things out and get acclimated to the speed of the NFL over college. But after that, if we're not head to the Super Bowl in 2 years, then I think people are going to question, why we did what we did. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It's interesting. We'll see.
It is. I mean, because look, you give up, I mean, the amount of draft stock that the 49ers gave up to get Trey Lance tells you obviously he's going to be our guy, and they think extremely highly of him. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done that. I mean, it's not going to be the next Herschel Walker trade, all right? We're not looking for that. So we think it's going to work out. That's what we want to happen. So, again, he's going to get his chance. And Jimmy G, excuse me, as I fight a little cold over here, we just, again, no, he's not going to be that guy. So where he goes, that's a whole other thing. If he goes to Seattle, I would love it because I love to play against him twice a year and let our defense rip him up. So I would be more than happy with that. But, yeah, it's Trey's team. And, Mike, he's one of the biggest questions going into the season. There's no doubt because we haven't seen a whole lot of him. But, again, it's all that potential, what we can do now with RPOs and using his legs. And he can make something out of nothing where Jimmy Garoppolo was just a statue back there. So I feel very confident and comfortable. But at the same time, I know that Lance is not going to kick it off like Patrick Mahomes did. I can hope he will, but I'm thinking week 7, 8, 9, we should start to see what he's really all about. And if we're a 500 team or a little bit better at that point, I think we can really take off.
Well, definitely it's going to be interesting, not only just to see the development of Lance over time during this year, but just to see how quickly he picks up on defenses, because the thing is, there's not a lot of tape out there on him.
Right.
That's a good thing in terms of him being able to do the things that he's comfortable with. But once teams pick up tape on him, that's when the real adjustments happen and when you really see what you have at quarterback. So that's going to be an interesting thing. And it wouldn't surprise me if he starts off fast, but he's going to probably hit one bump in the road where teams start to figure him out, and he's going to have to kind of make the adjustments to continue with the pace he's on.
No doubt. And that's where coaching is going to come in. And that's one good thing, Chris, about the beginning of our season. Our first 4 out of our 6 games, we play very mediocre teams. So we're talking about the Bears, Seattle, Atlanta's in there, Carolina. We got to play the Rams, I think, week 3 or 4 it is on Monday Night Football. But I think that's a good way for Trey Lance, to get his feet wet, so to speak, and, get in there with 4 out of these 6 games being against inferior opponents. I think that can really help his development.
Yeah, I mean, if he has time back there to throw, that'll help.
Yes,
it'll be that's for me. That's my greatest fear is he's not gonna be able to go through his progressions because he has no time to do so. So, yeah, it's also sort of nice that they're playing a lot of their home games later in the season. So,
yes,
if he's not doing so well in the first half of the season, you're not going to get as many of the boo birds out there. If when they're playing at Levi's, and then although the opponents are a little bit tougher over the second half, at least we're playing the games at home. So hopefully we can give him that home field advantage that he'd had to suffer against over the first half of the season.
I like that because 3 out of our last 5 games are at home, so that certainly does help, and hopefully that'll be a big thing going forward. And you alluded to the offensive line, so I want to go there with you guys right now. A lot of changes, especially the interior line. Look, we still got Trent Williams, thank God, left tackle, and we got McGlinchey on the right side, but everything now has changed on the offensive line interior-wise, Mike. Jake Brendell's got to step up and play center, replacing Alex Mack, who's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. Then Lincoln Tomlinson, gone. And comes Daniel Brunskill. He's going to have to be full-time. Aaron Banks, he's going to have to be full-time now. A lot of changes on the interior, and I got to tell you, man, I'm worried about it. Chris mentioned it, Mike. I'm worried about it.
Well, I'm definitely a little worried because, of course, these guys are not necessarily your everyday starters. But one thing I have noticed about the 49ers is that they draft guys that you haven't necessarily heard of or not highly regarded. And they kind of plug them in and they coach them up to actually do great things. So, sometimes there is somewhat of a drop off, but it isn't that huge of a drop off. But the thing is now they're the starters. So they're going to have to set the tone, and, that's going to be something to definitely keep an eye on.
That's right, no doubt, because our bread and butter is our line of scrimmage, especially talking about our offensive line and being able to get that pushback and our guards pulling in the right spot at the right time. And, of course, Kyle Juszczyk is a big part of that when they're running out of the eye. And, look, we're a running team. That's how we develop our passing game through the run game. Kyle Shanahan loves to run the ball in all sorts of different ways, Chris. So I think that his scheme is going to help out the ineptitude, if that's the right word, of some of these players, if they're not ready yet. So I think that the scheme will certainly help out, and they will get better over time. But like you, that is a concern of mine.
Yep. Hopefully he realizes that they're not that good. That's another one of my fears, is he thinks that we have a better offensive line than we do. And one thing that Jimmy was pretty good at was getting the ball out quickly. And, Lance is going to be looking to throw the ball deeper downfield, or, like many, not true rookies, but like redshirted rookies. He'll probably be looking to run a little bit quicker than a veteran like Garoppolo. Well, not that you were doing too much running in the first place. So I just hope we have a decent offensive line. I'm not looking for a top 5. I'm just, if we can be somewhere like in the middle, then I'd be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. They're well coached, and again, they've had, even speaking of coaching, they've had big turnover there when we talk about even the offensive line. So, Chris Forrester is back on the field now. He's coaching the offensive line, Mike, and the run game coordinator, which goes hand in hand with this team. So, again, not just new players, but a new coach coming in to run that part of the system.
Yeah, definitely. And then also, of course, new offensive coordinator with Mike McDaniel going to the Dolphins. However, we know that Kyle Shanahan usually runs the offense, but
right,
it still is another different brain or different way of thinking going out the room. So, that'll be interesting just to see the melding of the talent. Former Lions offensive coordinator is now our offensive coordinator. So it'll be interesting to see how those things and those ideologies meld. And of course, he was the offensive coordinator, the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers before that. And, we'll see what happens when all those minds and all those ideas meld on the sideline, if they actually do mesh together or not.
Should be very interesting, and I can't wait to see it. And I hope they mesh together as quickly as possible. And we are getting more good news. Not just Jimmy G. We know that he's not the starter, but Debo, he's talking with them. He's in camp. He reported. Is he going to practice? I don't know. Does he have to practice? I don't really care. I just want him to sign a contract. And it's looking a little bit better now, Chris, where him and Kyle Shanahan Kyle Shanahan quoted a very good discussion. So he's there. He showed up. Obviously, he wants to get paid. He's not looking to become an unrestricted free agent next year, if in fact he does want to be. But my hopes are a little bit higher now that we're going to get to keep Debo. And yeah, he's going to get a big contract, but it's well deserved. And that'll bring me to something a little bit later where we're going to have to, pay some other players. But Debo is so dynamic that I'm all good with them giving them, $25 million plus.
Yeah, it's interesting where they're going to, where he's going to be slated in there compared to some of the other nice big contracts. So I'm sure every big contract that comes by, Debo's pretty happy about it. But I mean, we need him badly. I mean, he was our entire offense. He was our best running back and our best wide receiver last year. And if we didn't have him, we would have no chance of making the playoffs. So I mean, I think he knows that. And I'm sure his agent knows that. My expectation from the beginning was that he was going to stay. I never really thought that he was going to leave. I think it was just posturing, basically. Just to get a better deal, and he probably will get a little bit of a better deal because of it. And as long as he's not like disrespecting the team or anything like that. And to my knowledge, I don't think he was.
No.
He just took all this Niners stuff down. So. I think he did it in a respectful way, and he's still on social media. He still said a couple things, and talking about the team like we, and the fact that he's back and that kind of thing. So I'm not too worried about that. Of course, it's always best to once we have a signature on the dotted line. But I'm not. I've never been overly concerned about that. I think it's just been a story. So we can have a story to talk about because it was a couple of dead months in the offseason. So
I hear you. Look, Terry McLaurin did it, with the Commanders, and he got paid. Look, we need Debo Samuel. Look, I'm looking for Brandon Ayuk to step up. I'm looking for Juwan Jennings to step up, and I want to talk to you about some of those guys later. But yeah, Debo is. I don't want to say he's our entire offense, but he's certainly by far and away our best player and brings such an amazing dynamic that, yeah, the 49ers certainly would not be as good of a team without him. So we need him, and they got to pay him, Mike. He's one of those guys that you have to pay if you really want to have that dynamic. But let me throw this in there also. And excuse me, I apologize. I have a little cold. So when him and Kyle Shanahan are talking, they discussed his role in the offense and how much he's going to be running and whatnot. And you know the whole story. I don't have to explain to you, but tell the fans what you think is going to happen. Is he going to have that same kind of role where it was more toward, week 9, 10, and 11 into the playoffs where he took on that running back / role, whatever you want to call it. And I think we need him to do that, Mike, but not all the time. But to have that illusion back there that he is going to do it helps our offense a lot.
Well, I think, yes, like you mentioned, the illusion definitely helps. However, I do think that that role will probably be less and less as it goes forward, because I think he views that more as, being a running back and taking those hits are going to take years off of his career in terms of being a wide receiver. So to me, I believe there's going to be less of that role. There's going to be more of the young guys in there, like Trey Sermon and the name escapes me right now. But anyway,
Elijah Mitchell.
Thank you, Elijah Mitchell. Good gracious. But yeah, there's going to be more of the young guys in there and more of the surrounding pieces in the running game than you would see Debo, in my estimation. Of course, there will be some times where he runs the football, but I don't think you see like 10 times of him running the football in one game. I don't think you see those anymore.
No,
close to that.
That would be way too much. That would be way too much, because we don't want to ruin the guy. I don't want to have him for just 3 or 4 years. I want to have him for 8 years. I want this guy to be on our team for a long time. So you're right. We would really ruin him that way. There's no doubt. So I'm sure the conversations they had worked somewhere out in the middle where, yeah, you're going to be using this way at certain times, but we're not going to overload it. So we'll see. How about the biggest issue? We talked about it. Is it more Trey Lance? Is it more the O-line? Is it the secondary? What's the biggest worry for you, Chris, right now? Is it still the offensive line, or do you think about the secondary? Now, we got Javarius Ward, which is great, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But I'm still worried about our safeties right now. Jimmy Ward, I'm not in love with him. And then I can't pronounce his name. I'm the worst at this, pronouncing or the safety's name right now. Tawalonga, Hufanga. I'm terrible. Yeah. So I'm worried about the secondary, Chris. I got to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess when I said before that I'm most worried about the offensive line, I was lying, because I'm most obviously concerned with Lance, because
sure,
but
unknown.
Those two obviously go hand in hand,
right?
I mean, if Lance just blows it up, then he's going to be able to overcome a bad offensive line and not a horrible offensive line. So I mean, for me it's definitely Lance 1, offensive line 2, and the secondary, I really don't understand why we let Tart walk when he was like veteran minimum, so we could start a guy who's like a lot of fun to watch out there, but he can't play like Tart does because he just doesn't have the speed. So some of the defensive adjustments we make, and we bring Jimmy Ward down into the box, cover a tight end or even like wide receiver, and then you have single high with Hufanga. It's not going to work. I mean, he's just not that fast. He's not that guy.
Right.
He's a strong safety. I mean, if that speed wise. Whereas with Tart, you had a guy who was, he's a speedster. I mean, the guy could run. So I don't know. It's a big to me. It's been Tart, Jimmy Ward. They're pretty similar talent wise, and then. Just to see Ward, who I like, but him, getting a huge contract. I think he's one of the top couple players on the team as far as contract goes. And then we could have gotten Tart for like a tenth of that, and we just had no interest in him.
I know.
And then I think it's the Eagles who picked him up.
Yeah,
and then they just put him right in their starting lineup, and I'm just like, what are we doing? I mean, I don't know. I don't get it at all, and especially the history of those two guys. It's just weird to just throw one of them away. I don't know. I mean, it's he wasn't that bad that we don't like there's gonna be a point in this season where we were gonna wish that we had him, and we're not going to. So,
Mike's shaking his head.
Yeah, who's gonna be there behind him? Someone who's not starting caliber. Someone who's not his caliber. So, but the secondary. It doesn't really matter how bad your secondary is if you get to the quarterback quick enough. So, I think that's my game plan.
Yeah, that's the thing, and we're going to have to be great with 4. And Mike and I are shaking our heads right there along with you because, look, I mean, other than the fact that Tart is not there, and maybe he's not there because he dropped the interception. I mean, if that's the reason why, that would be unbelievably ridiculous. I mean, we can't live off the last thing that we see, but that's perception, whatever. But I do agree with you. At the same time, Tart was more than a serviceable player. He was good. He was good for us, and that's why the Eagles picked him up right away. So we all agree. But damn, Mike, I would have loved to have seen him gone out and try to get Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus Williams, Justin Reed, one of those guys, because we had the money to spend over there, and I'm very happy with Ward. So with Ward there, give me this whole secondary synopsis in your head. Can Ward be that single lockdown guy where he's going to cover the best wide receiver every game and give him his best, and on the other side of the field, we can play maybe more of a man zone kind of combination? What do you think?
I hate to say it, but I get the same feelings that we had when Carlos Rogers came in.
Oh,
I get those same type of feelings about Ward for some reason. I hate to say it, but we were successful with Carlos Rogers there, but it wasn't because he was there. So that's kind of the feelings I get. Maybe Ward proves me wrong, but in a perfect world, it'd be Ward on one side. Verrett, hopefully he can stay healthy for 1 year again on the other side. Of course, Emmanuel Mosley is going to figure in that somehow. And of course, you do have the young guys that are there too. So it'll be the young guys and Emmanuel Mosley, to me, kind of battling for a slot position or an outside corner position, and maybe Ward going the slot or Verrett. And the starting corners will be, to me, it should be Verrett and it should be Ward. And as far as the safeties, I think they're going to have to mix it up a little bit there. Definitely going to have to do a little bit more mixing up, probably with the lack of speed of our additional safety we got. I don't want to butcher that man's name, so that's why I say it. But yeah, I definitely think they're going to have to mix up a few things. Jimmy's going to have to take a little bit more additional responsibility, and I did hate it that Tart was not there. That was the perplexing thing for me too, Chris. I just could not understand. I'm like, why not bring him back? He fits with this defense well, or maybe they've got some kind of mind of maybe they're going to pick some guy and some guy's going to come out of nowhere and be the guy. But, of course, they always, kind of go with their draft picks and kind of weave in the free agents that they can find in there as well. So, we'll see what happens.
No, you got a good point with all this. And also, I mean, you think, Ambry Thomas last year, there was some sparks over there, but can he really do it? Now, is Darqueze Dennard going to come in and all of a sudden be good, as a nickelback? I mean, I don't know these things. I don't know if it's all going to work out. But I do know, Chris, that we have, like you alluded to, an excellent defensive line. And bringing in Drake Jackson from USC, I think, is going to really help. Because if you think about it, we're going to have to play 5 guys in the secondary. It's going to be Greenlaw and Fred Warner at linebacker. We're going to rush 4. Nick Bosa, Javon Kinlaw, Eric Armstead. Ekuban is going to be in there. And now I like the addition of Drake Jackson because somebody's probably going to get hurt, right, Chris, or whatever it's going to be. And we're going to need that rotation going where we can constantly push with 4 to help out that secondary.
Yeah, I mean, and you also want to keep those other guys fresh too. So if you Bosa can take an average of 1 playoff of a series, then you're going to be in pretty good shape when you get to third down, and the other team's going to be in pretty bad shape. But anytime we draft, we go defensive end, edge first. I'm pretty happy about it, as long as as long as it's like a horrible pick, and unless it's a horrible pick or something like that. But
right.
It seems like they picked a reasonable guy at a reasonable spot, and although it's not a position of immediate need, it's always a position need. You always need edge rushers. Yeah.
Correct.
So now we got another one. If he turns out to be a really, really good one, then we have 2. And that's the kind of thing that our secondary needs. So I'm glad they made that move.
Yeah, so am I. I liked it also. I think that's as good as they could have done with the 61st pick overall. So, yeah, I'm definitely happy about that. I'm happy. And, we drafted another, running back late. And, we're all about running backs and drafting them late and seeing what they could do, like Elijah Mitchell, 6th-round pick. But out of all these guys on offense, we'll get back to defense in a second. I mentioned Juwan Jennings. He's probably the one guy I want to see step up where he's going to get a lot of single coverage. And I think that he can do really well, and Trey Lance might rely on him a lot because I know that they've practiced a lot together, the two of them. So I don't know, Mike. Again, we got Ayuk, and of course we got Debo. We got George Kittle, who, in my opinion, needs to be a much bigger part of that offense. I mean, he almost disappeared. I know he was hurt. I get it, and Garoppolo sucks, but we need him to be a bigger part. And I want to see Juwan Jennings step up. So is there anybody else in your mind that you want to see step up on offense, especially?
You talked about the right guys. As far as Juwan Jennings, definitely got a chance to run into him this offseason. So he actually was playing in a celebrity game here in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
He seemed like he was he said he was pretty focused. Of course, he played the game. He didn't really want to talk to media at that point. So I totally get it. But he definitely is a guy that seems like he's focused and determined on taking it to the next level for the next season. I mean, he's a 7th-round draft pick. He's a guy that got a second opportunity at the University of Tennessee after some trouble there and came back and took advantage of it and made himself into a player. I mean, he actually was a quarterback in high school, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, quarterback and safety. So he never really focused on wide receiver. So he was still learning and growing playing that position. He's still learning and growing now. So that's a guy I definitely want to see. He doesn't have top end speed, I'll tell you that. But when he doesn't make up for what he doesn't have for top end speed, he definitely has in aggression and also in competitive fire because he's a guy that is going to compete on every single play. Just a prime example of that is when the University of Tennessee versus University of Georgia. Last play of the game, Josh Dobbs throws a Hail Mary, and he catches it over 2 Georgia defenders for a touchdown to win the game. Ooh. So that's just an example of the competitiveness, and I think Juwan definitely has it in him to take it to another level and to be that dependable third guy that he was all the way through the playoffs.
You see, now I totally agree with you. Watching him last year, I felt like this guy was gaining confidence as the year went on, and he's like, I can be a part of this team, and I can be an integral part of the team. So I agree with you. But I also go back to the point, Chris, where George Kittle is the top 3 tight end, 4, wherever you want to go. Guy's a freaking fantastic football player. And again, yes, he gets hurt, but he needs to be a bigger part of that offense. And usually a young quarterback's best friend is their tight end. So I wonder how that relationship will work out. What do you think?
Well, I think he needs to stop blocking on passing downs. I have no idea why Shanahan always has him block on passing downs. And it's like over the last 3 years, it's been more and more and more. And I can't remember the percentage, but it's like he's everyone knows that he's a good blocker when it comes to the run game. He's aggressive. He's not a very good pass blocker. I mean, he's not. He's because it's a passive type of skill, and he's not really a passive kind of guy. He's more of a forceful kind of guy. So I don't know why they started doing it, but on so many key plays, I mean, go back to the Super Bowl. I mean, he's in the backfield. Like, what's he doing in the backfield? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And so every time every down that they had him, blocking last year as opposed to going out for a pass, it's just a waste. You're basically put on the sideline because he's not better than whoever else you would put in that position. It's like, it's one thing if you're gonna do it every once in a while, but when you're doing it on I don't know, but 10-20% of plays, it's just, to me, it's one of those, what are you thinking?
I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't know why. And I mean, definitely bit into his numbers, along with the games he didn't play. But that's the play that Garoppolo got hurt on was a play where Kittle was by himself on an edge rusher, and I'm like, well, what do you expect? It's like you have your best true receiver, and you decide not to have him go out on a passing route. Instead, do something that he's not supposed to be doing, and he's not one of the best people in the world at doing. It just doesn't make any sense.
That's why I'm hoping that Trey Lance and him are going to have this connection, Mike, because we can't, like you said, we can't waste the talent of George Kittle. He is lethal in the middle of the field. He owns the middle of the field. You single this guy up with a linebacker, you're freaking toast. because you're not gonna, you got to guard Ayuk, you got to guard Debo, you got to worry about the run game. That's why Kittle gets single coverage, and they don't take advantage of it. Why? Probably because Garoppolo sucks, and I think Trey Lance is going to be better. So I'm thinking this combination is going to work out better. We need Kittle to be Kittle for us to, really take that next step. I really believe that.
Well, definitely we need Kittle to be Kittle, but we also need to definitely give Lance time to develop because the best way for them to connect is if he actually is able to read his keys and see that, hey, Kittle's open, or I should go to him here. He's got single coverage, those different things, and he'll pick those up as he grows and matures. So as he grows and matures, I think Kittle will be more of a part of the offense as well as Debo. And Ayuk may be the one that actually may suffer some in terms of catches, although he may be the big play guy because he can take the top off defenses.
Right. And that's a great thing to have. That's something that we've lacked for a long time. That's why when Henry Ruggs, a couple of years when he came out in the Raiders draft, and I was thinking, maybe the Niners get this guy so they have somebody to take the top off the ball. Now, in retrospect, I'm glad they didn't draft him, obviously, because of what's going on, but that's a whole different story together. So, yeah, we'll see. We do need somebody to take the top off, and we have to have all these different dynamics, and that's why Kyle Shanahan can be so creative, because we have all these different players that do so many unique different things, including Kyle Juszczyk. It's amazing. So they got to take advantage of it. They really do. We talked about Ward a little bit. D'Amico Ryans, I just wanted to mention and give him some props that, people had their doubts about him as the defensive coordinator after Vic Fangio left, but he's been doing such a great job. And, yeah, we got great players like Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Eric Armstead. I can go on and on. I'm wondering, Chris, who do you think is generally our best defensive player overall? You think it's Bosa or is it somebody else? Is it Fred Warner?
Yeah. If you ask me best, I would say Warner, but Bosa has the most impact.
Because, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you aren't holding him with like two players or tackling him, he can totally change a game. Whereas Warner's more running things, and he's he's a complete football player. He used to play like overhang safety. So I think I think that while he might be better, Bosa is more impactful if he's if he's not on the field, or if he is on the field, is it's although it's obviously not good when you don't have your, I guess I assume he's a captain and middle linebacker with the helmet on the field. But when you don't have Bosa out there and you don't have to worry about where is he rushing from the left, is he rushing from the right, things are a lot easier on the quarterback.
Yeah, and I think about that Super Bowl game against the Chiefs. I mean, Bosa had like 12 rushes. If Mahomes didn't get rid of the ball when he did, I mean, he would have got sacked so many times by Bosa, and he's that great of a threat. And I think that Fred Warner's the better overall player. Impact and what you can do again on the defensive line, where he can get sacks and sacks and sacks. Yeah, I agree with that. That makes sense. Which brings me to another question, because we got to pay Debo. How much are we going to pay Nick Bosa? And now, Mike, I get a little worried about that, because how injury prone is he going to be? And do we want to spend all that money, or should we just keep drafting as well as we draft? It's an interesting question, because next year we're going to have to make a decision on that.
Honestly, I'd pay him within the top 5 or within the top 3 or 2 of his position. I would do it, because he's that impactful for that defense. He's that important to that defense. And, the 49ers had a decision a couple years ago. They had, of course, the basketball team up front. They had Armstead and they had Buckner.
Right.
Of course, we traded Buckner, keep Armstead, and paid Armstead. And now Armstead is kind of the in-between guy, really. Like, sometimes he shows up in the game plan, sometimes he doesn't. Just from what I see. But
no, you're right.
Of course, somebody. I mean, anybody can tell me any different, but it's just for what I see. But to me, Bosa is the man, and honestly, Armstead. I still wish they could do that trade over again and get rid of Armstead instead of Buckner. But hey, that's just my thinking. That's just where I am. But
dude, I'm with you. Trust me, I'm with you.
I'm pretty sure everybody is.
Now, I will say this, though. I definitely think that another guy that we haven't talked about is Juwan Kinlaw. I think Juwan Kinlaw could have an impact this year. I think he was just kind of starting to scratch a little bit of the surface. Then he got hurt. Then, of course, now he's coming back. Now he's teeing off on reporters and telling them, hey, it's time. So, it's kind of I'm definitely interested to see how that that South Carolina energy he brings on defense because, of course, Debo's from South Carolina and he's on offense.
That's
so,
right.
So I want to see what he brings on defense from, South Carolina energy.
I love it. Yeah, he was we drafted him in the top 10 whenever we picked him a couple of years ago, whatever it was, when we had that off season when Garoppolo got hurt. Man, I was like, at first I questioned. I'm like, why again with the D line? Like, we have other holes, but no, I get it because the D line and our O line has been our bread and butter this whole entire time. Again, the game is won and lost at the line of scrimmage. I preach that to everybody. Anybody will listen. I don't care how many skill positions you have. If you can't, control the line of scrimmage, if you can't move forward, it ain't going to work out. Your offensive line can't block for the run or for the pass. Things are not going to happen. So, again, that's something the Niners got to do. But defensively, what they do to other teams, like you mentioned with Bosa, Kinlaw coming in there, we'll see what Jackson can do. 49ers rarely blitz, and we don't have to. But sometimes I like to see him throw it in there once in a while. I would like to see a blitz just here and there, just to throw the offense off a little bit. But overall, I really can't be complaining. But Javon Kinlaw is a name that you mentioned to step up this year because, hey, shit, he could be maybe in the running for comeback player of the year. But, Chris, is there another defensive player that you're saying, okay, we need this guy to step up and play his best ball so we can be our best on defense?
Yeah, I mean, both obviously, but I agree with Armstead. I mean, he got a pretty good contract, and he isn't really playing up to it. He's always just like a step away, he's and of course quarterback pressures are impactful, but it's always he's one step away from making a play. And often when the quarterback does throw the ball, it's a nice long reception, so it's not actually impacting the play that much. But he's definitely a guy who needs to step up, not just for the team, but to stay on the team for over the next couple of years, and beyond there, because losing DJ Jones is going to be difficult to fill in the middle, and our cadre of guys who we sort of flow in there on passing downs and rushing downs. It's pretty much all of them. We need as many guys as we can to be to play their best season, basically.
Sure.
So I don't really have like one specific guy, but it's I guess maybe that one specific guy, probably Bosa. Bosa's picking up 12, 14 sacks, and I'm feeling pretty good. Then we don't have to blitz so much. So
yeah, no, you hit the sweet spots. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, I don't think we just finally mentioned DJ Jones. Almost 40 minutes into this, and I don't think people realize how big of a loss that is and what Denver's really getting. I mean, they got him and Gregory. I don't want to talk about the Broncos right now, but they're going to be pretty tough on defense. Damn, but yeah, losing DJ Jones is tough because he filled in again. Well, not filled in. I mean, he was playing anyway, but when Kinlaw wasn't there, obviously he had to take on more of that meat and double teams and everything. So, yeah, Mike, that definitely is a big loss. That hurts. But Kinlaw, like you're talking about, he could be that guy. You talk about Eric Armstead. He needs to step up. Is there anybody else in mind that you got?
Well, of course, we've already mentioned the defensive backs.
Yes.
Of course, we talk about Ward. We talked about Verrett. I mean, we need one of those guys to actually be the man. I know, Ward just got there. I understand that. He's still got to learn the defense, but he's getting paid to be the man. So I need him to be the man. In Kansas City, he wasn't exactly the man. That's why it kind of miffed me that he got signed by the 49ers to be the man. So I think I need him to step up and be the guy, somebody at the cornerback spot, because too many times cornerbacks are out there holding, can't be in the right position, and it's just mind-boggling and frustrating every single year to go through the same exact scenarios, the same exact reasons to be frustrated and pissed off at the 49ers defense.
You are so right, because I get sick and tired of when I see the ball go far in the air. If Stafford's throwing a long, whoever it may be, I'm like, damn, a yellow flag is coming out right now because it's going to be defensive pass interference. So like you said, we're going to be holding them down the field. You're exactly right. We can't have that. Can't have penalties. That's ultimate killer, especially ones like that. They're going to give the offense like 30 yards. So I'm with you. And, I talked about the safeties before, like why didn't we go after Williams or Matthew or Reed or, Marcus May, whoever it may be. Why didn't we go after Gilmore or J.C. Jackson? Like, I like Ward. I'm with you. I like him, and he can play. He can single up, but damn, I think that we should have gone for it more. We have a ready-made team, And when we talk about a window, if Trey Lance turns out to be what we hope he's going to be, we're going to have to pay him in 3 years. So we have this like 3-year window period, kind of like the Chargers do out in LA right now with their quarterback that they don't have to pay, where we should be in contention for the Super Bowl sometime in the next 3 years. Is it going to be this year? Probably not, Chris. But I would expect that the Niners should be back in the big game while Trey Lance is still under his rookie contract with all these other players around him.
Yeah, I mean, they are paying him a fair amount because he was an early draft pick. So it's not that they're paying him nothing.
True.
Back like in the Seahawks days with Russell Wilson, and you could really focus on the rest of the team.
Or was it Sam Bradford who got that last one where he made like $80 million?
I think he was the last one. And
gosh, what a joke!
Yeah, and then I can't remember who was drafted the next year first, but I think I got shafted pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, the salary cap's going to go up. We know that.
Yes,
we're acting as if it's going to. I think that's sort of put the negotiations with Debo and with Bosa not necessarily on hold, but slowed them down a little bit. Because we don't know how much we're going to have, and even though it hasn't really hurt the Rams yet, like you don't really want to get in that kind of situation. Well, I guess similar like to the Saints, where you just way over your head, assuming that that COVID doesn't happen next year, and then assuming that everything's going way up, and then suddenly, a guy like Drew Brees is owed $50 million and he needs to suddenly retire, So I don't think the Niners have any guys like that who would just suddenly retire.
I like it.
and give them the money back to the team so they can be well under the cap. So yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean the window. If Lance is the guy, and right now we have no idea if he is or not. But if he is the guy, then you're gonna have to pay him because you pay quarterbacks. You pay quarterbacks and you pay defensive ends.
That's right.
So if we have good ones and we have to pay him, I guess it's a good problem.
Exactly. It's a problem you want to have. That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, shoot, Kyler Murray. Look, I still think he's outside the top 10, but he just got paid, 0.5 more, $1 million. Just shove it into Deshaun Watson's face is also amazing. But Lamar Jackson, he's going to break the bank. I mean, but by the time Trey Lance is ready, he could be a $60 million quarterback a year. That's the way the market goes. It's just insane. It really is.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, when we do actually sign Bosa, I mean, I assume it's going to be over $30 million a year, and that's a pretty significant portion of our overall cap. And I mean, you definitely need to stay healthy, and you need to be effective if you're going to get paid that much, because you have to have a lot of impact.
Right. Well, you guys sign him to a longer contract and kind of spread that money out, sort of things. The guarantees or whatever. We'll see. But yeah, that's again another great problem to have. We have all these great players, and we got to pick the right ones to keep. And kind of struck out a couple of years ago, like you mentioned, with DeForest Buckner. So hopefully we'll get our stuff together. All right, almost impossible to really make a prediction as to what their record's going to be by going to the schedule. Okay, they're going to win this one, that one, this one. Mike, remember we did this last year? We were actually pretty accurate because I kept a record of what we did. We did pretty good, but it's still hard to do. So again, Bears, Seahawks start out. We play the Broncos. That'll be very interesting. Rams are a Monday Night Football game. Chiefs, I don't know. No, that's an afternoon game, but we have the Chiefs. That's a big one. We got the Chargers. The Saints we play. The Bucks. Not the easiest schedule. The Raiders, we play the whole AFC West, Mike. So we have a tough schedule, but if we're going to be a playoff team, I'm cool with that. I want to play these tough teams because I want Lance to be ready. I want our defense to be ready. I want our wide receivers, everything. I want our coaches to be ready. So I'm cool with that because you know what? If we're going to be a playoff team, we're going to have to beat teams like this. So I'm all about it. I welcome it. So bring it on. What their record's going to be right now, looking at the schedule, if I'm doing it that way, 10, 11 wins, tops. But I could be wrong. And that, again, a lot of it depends on how quickly Trey Lance is going to pick it up, right?
Right. And I'm right there with you with the amount of wins. That's what I was thinking myself, 10-7. going to win some games that people think we're not going to win, going to lose some games. It's going to make you scratch your head. So that's the give and take that comes with a young quarterback.
You got it, man. You hit it right on the head. And again, I'm loving just, again, the early schedule. Like I mentioned, Chicago first, Chris. It's in Chicago, but who the hell cares? I don't even know if anybody's going to go to the game. Then we get Seattle at home. On the road against the Broncos. All right, we'll see how Russell Wilson gets started with them. Then we play the Rams, who we pretty much own for the most part. I mean, shit, we almost went to the Super Bowl again last year. Like, if it wasn't for Tart on that drop. But, again, I don't want to blame everything on him. The Panthers, again. The Falcons, and, then I said, a bunch of tough games in there, but I want that. Me and Mike are all about it. I'm sure you're all about it because it's going to build our character. It's going to build our team strength and morality to be in these games. Even if they lose a close game and they play really well, it'll be able to build their confidence going forward.
Yeah. If we go 10-7, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But I don't think we'll be too far off of that. I think we will be somewhere around 500. Something
like 9 and 8 type of thing.
9 and 8, 8 and 9, something like that. And it could go a couple games this way or a couple games that way. We'll just hope that a lot of it really just comes down to Lance and how quickly he's picking up the game. And right now we just don't know. So we will soon. Just not soon enough for me, but. It's coming soon here in a couple
months. The sooner the better, of course. The sooner the better, there's no doubt. But we know that we're, as 49er fans, seeing Garoppolo over these past 4 years, we know that we just don't want that anymore. So we're good. Give us Lance. Let's see what we got. And you know what? Damn, if it don't work out, okay, it doesn't work out. We'll go and we'll try to find something else. But they have so much confidence in what they saw in this kid, his intelligence, the way that he ran the offense. Because, Mike, you remember when they drafted him last year, they gave him the playbook. They're like, go run these plays. We want to see how you do it. And he passed with flying colors. So I'm excited about what he can do, the potential. And again, we're going to have to wait a few weeks, maybe even a couple of months till he gets it together. But I have a really hard time believing that he's going to be worse than Jimmy Garoppolo. So that automatically makes me think we're going to be a better team and we're going to be contenders for years to come.
Well, I'm definitely thinking it will be tough with Trey Lance. The thing I'm thinking about is he could be better and could be worse at the same time. Here's why I gather that. He can be better in terms of his ability to improvise, his ability to make plays outside the pocket with his feet. He can be worse in terms of his understanding of the actual playbook in terms of, in live action. So, that kind of mixture and meld, and once those come closer together into the understanding meets the ability, we may have what we have in terms of Trey Lance. Hopefully that comes quicker rather than later down the line.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you quick. From the limited action that we saw from him last year, were you excited? Did you say, okay, this could be something good?
Well, I was excited. You could definitely tell that, he hadn't had a lot of game action because a few different plays he made, and you're like, okay, cool. Yeah, Jimmy could definitely not make that play. And then other plays, you're like, yeah. Needs a little bit more game action. So it's kind of, the potential, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. The downside, I'm like, oh boy, if he don't learn that offense and learn how to slide, he's not going to be playing very long.
You're right. But the good thing is Chris, as you know, it's a quarterback-friendly offense, this offense. That's why Jimmy Garoppolo looks so damn good in the offense and had a winning record. It is very quarterback-friendly. They're not going to ask him to throw the ball down the field, 40, 50 yards, 3-4 times a game. It's going to be more, dink and dunk. We're going to run the ball. We're going to do some RPOs. He's going to run. I think it's going to be more concise, more ball-controlled, which is, again, what the 49ers like to do, eat up that clock, grind you, beat you down. So I think they're going to keep the same style, but now we just have that extra added ability at quarterback. So based off of what you saw last year, and again, we're talking about a very small sample size, obviously, did it give you hype for the future?
It gave me hope. It also, it also demonstrated some of the issues that he has, that he needs to work on. And,
fair.
Throwing a spiral would be good. His inability to do that sort of bothers me because he was throwing the ball hard and they're like missiles, and none of the wide receivers could catch it because they're so wobbly. And that's just sort of the thing. Like remember back in the Kaepernick days, how how hard he would throw the ball into like such like small windows, but it was
Yeah.
such a tight spiral that that Q could catch the ball. And now we have a quarterback who has a similar powered arm, but he's got to tighten up that spiral, and he needs to work on his mechanics. And I was really surprised when I believe it was Shanahan who said that they didn't do anything with his mechanics all offseason. So I'm like, why not? I was like, I mean, you knew how quarterbacks are supposed to throw the ball, and he's throwing it like you would expect a guy who came out of his situation to be throwing it. You need to teach him.
Well,
he has that baseball throw. I have the same problem. I can't throw spirals very consistently either. They're always a little wobbly. Not quite as hard as his, but yeah.
That's interesting.
I feel the pain.
Who our new quarterback coach is in Brian Greasy. It's not like he has such a great damn track record of being a quarterback in the NFL. His daddy did a hell of a lot better than him. There's no doubt. But I mean, overall, look, I just see the fact that, look, Jimmy's gone. He did what he did. I'm appreciative of coming close, but no cigar. And now I want to smoke the cigar. And I think Trey Lance can give us that. So that's what I'm hoping for. Man, this has been fun. I know that we all got to get out of here. We got to do our things. But before that, Mike, I know that you got a billion things going on. So why don't you tell the people a little bit about what's happening so they can follow you and make sure they get in all the good stuff touring the AFC South and everything that you're doing. Great guests, by the way, you've been getting too. Thanks.
Now, of course, like Jason mentioned, I do have my podcast touring the AFC South. It's on 2 times a week.
Such a great show, man. Such a great show.
Thank you. And of course, I can be found doing some freelance journalist writing around the Nashville area with the Nashville Voice, Tennessee Tribune, and of course, I do write for the NABJ website, Black News and Views, doing sports history in the Black pretty much every week.
I love that. That's awesome. That's got to be quite an honor, to be honest with you. That must be pretty freaking cool. I got to say, that's awesome. So well done.
It's fun. Oh, and of course, you can find me on Twitter at MikePadden82. Yeah, I forgot to say that. Sorry.
Yep. Got to make sure you follow him. He's the general going back a long time for a reason, and we always salute him. Chris, I can't thank you enough for coming on. It's been a minute since we chatted, but you brought your 49 knowledge like I knew you would. Tell the people where they can find you and get more of this good stuff.
Yep. Mostly on Twitter, arguing with somebody. And then
you're always right. And you're always right.
And halfway through being like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But you can find me at Niner Noise. I'm not doing their podcast this year, but I am doing. I might do one for 49ers Web Zone, and right in there as well as Stadium Rant is going to have Niners Empire. It's going to be a new website. Going to be doing some work for them, and then possibly a podcast for them as well. So.
Oh, it's great.
I mean, you're going to see too much of me. You're not going to want to, it's not going to be a problem.
So all our floating heads, we're going to be talking 49ers for a long time, guys. So sit back, strap in, and let it happen because it's going to. My name, Jason Fearman, a.k.a. The Sports Prophet. I pretty much just converse on Twitter because I hate social media. Otherwise, 3rd and 3 podcast will be on tomorrow, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock with Damian and Nikki. And Knowledge with Nikki, who the hell knows what the hell she's going to talk about this week. But it's always fun and entertaining. So 49ers Forecast on the Power 32 podcast. You got it from 2 of the great minds that I know, man. Guys, unbelievable. Can't thank you enough. And we'll probably do it again during the season.
Yep, sounds good,
man. Sounds like fun.
All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you later. Peace. All right.